Hello, Stand-Up World, episode 37. I'm Mike Binder, and I believe Patrick Arnold somewhere. Right there.
What's up?
Up. That's our producer, our special needs producer, Patrick Arnold. How you doing, Patrick?
I'm good. How about you, Mike?
I'm good. You know, healing up. Been through it. I had had a little accident, but had me on my back for a while, but I'm doing good, and I'm excited about today's guest. I really am. I think Nate Bargatze is he's really an exciting guy because he's so himself. You know, he does his own thing, and he's made his own world, Nate Land. He lives in Nashville, my favorite city in the world right now. I actually love it so much, and I've had such great times in Nashville. And I just he's really a great guy. And I just also, as we've talked about on this podcast, and I've talked about on StandUpWorld.com, I just am fascinated with the new world of comedy and people that are making their own way, and you know, and doing their own thing. And he's just created his own world, and he's really got big plans and big schemes, and I think it's really fantastic. So I don't know. I don't think we should do much more than just get into it with him. What do you think?
Let's do it. It was a great interview.
Yeah. Nate, how are you, man? It's so good to see you.
So good to see you, Mike, man. Pleasure, buddy.
You're doing awesome. It's really fun to watch. You know, I have to tell you, it's been fun to see all these my friends just come up and, hey, you know this guy Nate something, or do you know this guy Nate Bargatze, or Nate? Italian guy, right? Yeah. But more and more people have just been turning on to you, just all the time. So it's nice. But
it's crazy, man. It's like I went to Australia, and it's you know, when you're out there, you're just like, why would any of these people even know you at all? So it's it's a lot to take in, but it's been fun, and you know, being on the road, and you know, comedy's great. Comedy's in a good spot right now. So
are you using I know you're a guy that's using all the tools with your own podcast and thing, but are you using ChatGPT and AI and all that?
No, we've talked about it on our podcast. Like we've like read something. I've seen it just in the context of we were doing it on the podcast and making it funny. I don't know. I've never used it, so I don't know. I don't know if it's an app or I don't know what you're doing.
It's a new thing, and and out here everyone's on strike because they're afraid of it. And I can't be too worried about it. I'm going to show you. I wanted to do some research on you, and I asked ChatGPT or whatever you call it to make a little film about your career because I didn't have time to do it, and this is what they came up with.
Oh wow.
Nate Bargatze is a Hasidic Jewish comedian. He grew up on the streets of Brooklyn with Hasidic Jews, where he polished his sense of humor, which resulted in his first Netfish special, The Tennessee Kid. Nate's father was a rocket scientist who once blasted into space and gave motivational speeches about it. This became material for his first comedy LP, I Was Yelled At by a Gown. On April 15, 2023, Bargatze drew 19,365 attendees to a performance at Nashville's Bridgestone Chicken Shack, breaking the venue's all-time attendance record. Nate also has a giant collection of little girls' toys that he plays with alone in his basement.
Oh wow.
It's exactly what happens with anyone that uses it. You think, okay, this is great, and then you go, wait a minute, this couldn't be true.
Yeah, that's so fun.
And everybody's so afraid of it, but it's the stupidest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And we've had Google for years, which is so much better. But we're all shaking in our boots, and everyone's out there on the picket line going, it's going to destroy us if we don't stop it now. I go,
yeah.
It's so funny. And by the way, I put the pictures in, but I didn't make that up. That's shit that came up.
Dude, that's so crazy. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know where it gets. It's like where it gets everything. I've had some there's stuff that I could see, like, something that talks about me or something, and it would say like my brother's name is Worf, and
Yeah.
so, like all these crazy names and for my family, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like, where is that? I don't know where that's coming from, how it's doing it, but yeah, I mean, I don't the AI. I guess they're worried like it's gonna be where they go write a whole movie and stuff, and then you're not even
It's so
just
funny
going down
too,
the
because
road.
I know, because I've made so many movies with studios and networks. I understand how much paperwork that you got to sign with the network that says, yes, I originated this. This is, I, I signed this. Yet it's all of me. Their lawyers are so buttoned down and everything that
Mm.
they're never going to be accept. Yeah, a lot of this came from AI, because it could be AI pulls from everybody's scripts all over the world. So they're not going to make 70 million and $80 million movies with threads from, unless with they don't know exactly where it came from.
Yeah, but I guess it's like if they're worried about the future of it. But yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, because people said that about comedy. Like they're like, you could do it. You can put in like write a joke, write a joke in Nate Bargatze's voice, and it kind of does it. But I mean, there's a authenticity obviously to humans, and it's luckily we're selling our craft to other humans. So I hope I understand the preparation because it could get with AI it gets slippery quick. Uh, but I hope that it's like the people are gonna you can tell the difference between someone that's coming up with this on their own or someone that's just getting
Absolutely.
well.
And I got into this with Rogan once on his thing, when I was doing the Comedy Store documentary about joke theft, which was when I was a kid. Everyone was like, oh, he stole this guy and this guy's a thief. And as I got older, I realized stealing jokes, yeah, it's wrong. But the guys that steal jokes run into a cement wall eventually anyway. And when you have a voice, once you really get your own voice, you don't care, because they're just jokes. They're just, you
Mm.
gotta write so many of them, and no one tells them like you tell them.
I agree. I agree with that. It's I thought a lot of that stuff got so blown up, and then it made fans just get on top. They became so hyper aware of everybody, and so if you had a joke that was similar to someone else's joke, they'd be like, "Oh, you stole it." You're like, nobody's stealing these jokes. I mean, we're going to come up with stuff that's going to be the same. The grand scheme of things, I mean, there's so few people that are stealing stuff. I understand some of the ones that did, but like you said, they do hit a wall that where they don't get past it because it can get you a little success ahead. But I mean, it's like it's just not the people that did it. You're like, so Carlos Mencia, ones that were successful. You're like, I don't even know. Like, you can't even really name that many people.
No,
Uh,
no, the ones that steal, the universe pays them back.
Yeah, and you know what? I remember a comic once said to me a long time ago, like if because I asked him about that, and he was just like a road comic, and I was like, "You worry about people stealing your jokes?" And he's like, "If I can't write more jokes, then I have a bigger problem." And it's not that you're rooting for stealing or that stealing is bad. It's just you can't if you just focus and trying to protect your jokes being stolen, you're going to get nowhere because you're too precious over these jokes that you should be evolving and coming up with new stuff.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you something. When I was getting started, I was really good friends with this guy, Ollie Joe Prater. He
Oh
was
man,
like a
I
Southern
love
comedian.
stories. Well, I want to hear, dude.
Why did
Go
you
ahead,
know him?
tell your thing, and then
Oh, he was great. He was great, and he was my buddy, But he would steal people's jokes, and they were always hating him. And he always said to me, "Mike, the only ones that really are mad about it is the ones that I tell it better than they do."
yeah,
you know, and
yeah,
and it was true.
yeah,
Got people that really didn't care were like, oh, I let him take my fucking joke. He doesn't do it as good as I do. He's not doing as good as me. But the
yeah.
people that that he improved upon it, and he did sometimes,
Yeah.
But
Was he,
did you know him?
so no. I
Oh.
just heard stories. I read that story about Fox where they opened for him, where they have to like take him on stage. They put him on stage before the show starts and have like a curtain over him or something, or like,
Yeah, that was towards the end of his life. Yeah.
yeah. That's, I mean, sad towards, is like one of the best stories I've ever heard in my life, though. Is
Well,
him
I
just
will
sitting.
tell you. I will tell you. I hired him to do a show open for me. This was years ago, and when I found him, he was passed out on the baggage conveyor belt, just going around as if he was a big piece of baggage. And I went,
No,
"Oh
I
my
mean,
God!"
bless his heart. I know it's what it's not to, it's a sad thing, but it's also what I love about comedy and comedians uh is just kind of, it's a mess. It's like someone that can be so talented in something and then just have like this not control and this other thing, and it's just there's a like a sick beauty to it.
Yeah, really, that's a great way to pay it with him, man. He was amazing. He was amazing,
Mhm.
but he just was so messed up. His real name
Yeah.
was Gilbert Hartzog, and he
Wow.
just kind of he was from Jackson, Michigan, and
Yeah.
he spoke like I'm speaking, and he created that Ollie Joe Prater. And
Yeah.
one time Charlie Hill, you know who Charlie Hill is? He was an Indian comedian.
Yeah.
He yelled out from the back of the Comedy Store. He said, "Hey, Ollie Joe, where are you from originally?" And just he goes back. He goes, "I'm from a place called Gilbert's Bluff." He goes, Charlie goes, "Where's that? Where's that? Where is that?" He goes, "That's right near Hartzog's Landing. Let me do my show."
Yeah. That's funny.
He was the best.
That's good. So he was in LA, and then was he just do the road a lot?
Yeah, he did. He ended up being a serious road comic, and he made a lot of little albums and cassette tapes they sold at truckers stops.
Yeah.
And everybody said that he stole a lot of stuff. And the truth is, he just used a lot of old jokes.
I agree with you. So that's my other thing with it. If you look at a lot of stolen jokes and you look at the joke, you're like, oh, my uncle also says that joke.
Yeah,
Sometimes they're fighting over a joke that's like, I'll be honest with you, you should all be embarrassed about this joke, and no one should be doing it. And that was something that I realized. I've had a few jokes where it's like, well, someone did that, or someone sounded like that joke, and I could tell those jokes were just very like evergreen jokes, and they were never personalized. So those are the ones that, where you're like, yeah, it's like they're kind of out there for people to grab, and someone's going to grab it because we're all talking about McDonald's and the drive-through. Like, like there was that old thing where they said Leno would do a McDonald's joke, and then they'd be like, but if you're, and everybody did McDonald's jokes, but they're like, but have you heard Leno's McDonald's joke? And it was like, I remember just reading that in a book, like, and you got to, it's like you got to remember that, like, it's got to be your McDonald's joke. So you can do airplane stuff, but it's got to be your airplane stuff. If you're talking about the seat and all that stuff, it's all been done. But if you go, here's my experience in an airplane. Right. Then
I'll tell you a funny story. I had this one bit that I did on my 1984 HBO special. You probably weren't even born then, were you?
I was. I'm 79.
Okay.
I can go tell you, Mike, I was not allowed to watch that HBO special.
Okay, no, you weren't allowed to. But I did this joke, and then I stopped doing stand-up. And after a while, people would come up and tell me the joke, or years later, I would hear the joke as a joke. Right?
Yeah.
And when I started, which was funny, I always laughed. I said, "Okay, that's funny. That's my bit." But recently, I started doing stand up again about a year ago, and I only kept one damn thing of that hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever I had. And I would do this joke. I would end it with it, and then I put a clip up, and that's the one clip. It's got like 2 million views, but so many of the things that's an old joke. That's an old joke. And then till finally one person goes, "You stole that from Mike Binder's HBO special." And I finally go, "Dude, look at the name on the reel." It's like people are just like, just shut up. and
Yeah.
just laugh at the joke. What do you
Yeah.
care where a joke comes from?
It's there too is, sometimes they go after some older guys and you're like, yo, dude, he might have wrote that joke. Like, I don't, it's like they can think it's like, oh, that's an old joke. You're like, he's been doing comedy since the
He's
70s.
old.
He might be, I think he was the first to do it. So you gotta like maybe acknowledge that to go like, yeah, I don't, they seem like they're all stolen or whatever now, but you're like, that guy, comedy's still so new in this form of stand up that people like, I mean, Cosby's still alive. Like, that's insane. Like, Cosby's been doing comedy for 100 years. And it's insane. He was at the beginning of it and like it being a new art form almost. And all these guys that, there's just the older guys, it's still so new of a thing. And I mean, that's why it's
I actually am more excited about it now than ever. And a lot of my friends, I go meet up with some of my friends. They go, "Why are you doing it? Who cares about this?" It's because they did it all the years that I didn't, so they burned out on it.
yeah.
And I just say, I did that Comedy Store documentary, and I kind of fell back in love with it. But I love the world you guys are in. I'm just following you guys, and like I love Nate Land. I love what everyone's creating their own worlds. I think your podcast is great. I love your cast. I think Aaron's great, and Dusty Slay, and Aaron's a funny kid. And Brian is the other guy, Brian.
Yeah.
And then I just love the idea of doing. I mean, I work here with my buddy Patrick. He's in Boston, and I had my old friend Stephen Wright last week, and a new guy that I really like, Joe List. And
I was with Joe List. Me and Joe were in New York together. I'm a little older than Joe, but it's me and him somewhat are around a lot together.
He's great. And then I saw there's this new guy, Jeffrey Asmus. Have you seen him yet?
I don't know if I've seen him.
Oh, you would love him.
Yeah.
You would love him.
Yeah.
Great joker. So I just love the new world, and I also, I really, when I wasn't doing it, and I think we talked about this when you were on the documentary, I would always say, people go, do you miss it? And I'd say, no, one of the things I love about stand-up is that I get to watch and laugh. And I'm not going, oh, I wish I wrote that. Oh, I wish,
Yeah.
But the truth is, Nate, I was wrong. Because when I started back into it, I've been doing it enough now that I sit back and watch everybody. I watch everyone's specials. And I don't. Maybe just because I'm older, and I just never go, oh man, I should have wrote that, or this fucker's not funny, or I don't think like that.
Yeah.
I love seeing new people, and
I wonder if that's because I always think do you feel somewhat satisfied in your career? Like, you've had such a great long career that you just kind of go, you can now appreciate it more, or not, you know what I mean? Like I've noticed, because I'm in it now, like you can still get very competitive, but stuff eases away because you just go, like, you realize you just been around more, so you just kind of like can enjoy the world that you're in.
Yeah, I agree that, and I also think a lot is because of this new world. I'm not in competition with anybody. I'm creating my own world, and that's I think the gatekeepers are pretty much gone if you want them gone.
Yeah.
I mean, Nate Land.
Yeah.
Any of my buddies. I'm really curious. I mean, that's the thing. I just work with people I like, and I mean, I directed movies my whole life, movies and TV shows, and I just decided to direct stand up when Bill Burr, who was my buddy, asked me to direct his special. And I'm sure that's how you got into directing specials, right?
Yeah. I mean, I did it because when we started, I wanted to produce some of these specials for, Mike Vecchione and Greg Warren. Both theirs are out on my YouTube channel. Then we got Joe Zimmerman. We did his, and his is going to come out soon. I also have another thing called the Showcase, where we have like 6 comics on a show and kind of a live at Gotham kind of feel to it. And
Where are you shooting that?
it's already shot. We shot it in Nashville Zanies.
Oh, there's a Zanies in Nashville?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. No,
I
I'm
thought you've
teasing.
been down here.
I'm
Yeah.
teasing. I'm just
was
giving
like-
Dorf. I'm just giving Dorf shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, God damn, you've been here.
I
think I've
love
been
it.
with you in that room. So
Yeah, I love that room. Are you kidding? That's one of my favorite clubs.
it's yeah. So it's like we're doing that with the directing of that is it's just getting. I mean, obviously, my world is I don't curse. It's a cleaner world, and so that's kind of the angle that we've been doing. And so I wanted to introduce, because a lot of people that are fans of comedy that maybe they're like a little worried about like it being super dirty or heavy or whatever it is I wanted these comics that I knew, like Vecchione, something that wasn't completely clean, but basically clean. Because there's a lot of comics that are basically kind of clean, where you're like, if you just don't curse, you can talk about whatever you want. And it's really just getting like the old TV days. The old TV days, if you did Comedy Central, you couldn't curse, but you saw great comics put out specials that just were like, hey, you just got to do it under these kind of standards. And I think I wanted to kind of show that. And then, because I want the people I want everybody to be able to see how great these comics are. I mean, it's, as you know, we get in this world and you start seeing people that people don't know. And you're like, dude, this guy's unbelievable. That's right. The first time I saw Brian Regan. I couldn't, when I heard him as CD, you're like, how's this guy not the most famous guy on the planet? Right. It was, in your mind is just blown, because you just become obsessive over something you didn't know existed. And then you're like, now I can't like forget it. And that's what I hope to do, is like to eventually just have a world where people can just go like, you can go learn about this person and see how great they are.
I saw you, I don't know if you remember this, but I saw you like the day after you shot, I think it was Mike's special at the Nashville Comedy Festival.
Yeah.
And and I actually thought it was cool that you did it. For me it was different, because I had spent years making my own movies, which were an extension of my stand-up, where I only made my movies that I wrote and directed, my own screenplay, and I had total control, and it was my vision. And even when I would bring comedians on, they knew, okay, I'm on Mike's set, and okay, Mike, how does it, and then or my television show, which was my show, and then I go direct Burr's special, and then I would do my own specials. I did my own shit. And sorry, I'm swearing. Now all of a sudden I'm talking.
Look at you, Mike. Here we go. This is why I couldn't watch your HBO stuff.
I know. I'm actually, one of my goals is to see if I can get you to swear here. No, I'm kidding. But and then I realized really quickly, because Bill's someone that'll tell you in a minute. He doesn't keep it holstered.
Yeah.
I can't tell him what to do. I'm the director, but I'm just the guy with the camera, and all I do. This is kind of a chump job, but it's a cool job, because a stand-up comic has worked his act out for so long. I'm just here to help and shut up, and Bill told me that right away, but I was so used to going, okay, here's what you got, and then I realized when you're directing a comedian, your job is really just to get out of the way and help the comedian look great, right?
Yeah. That's why I trust you to do it, because you know how to do that, to take your own ego out of it. That's why you're there, is because you can go like, look, I know you know what you want, and then you can also and they trust that, all those decisions that maybe he's not seeing, that he knows that you're making them with him in mind. And that's why people work with you. And that's because you can trust that. And that's what I see when you're doing direct, is I can say, like, for me, it's like, I like the opening, I'm like, let's do this opening like this. I kind of envision with Greg Warren, I envisioned the way I wanted, his special being in a club, and he feels like a club comic and all this. So you picture these I can kind of somewhat envision that kind of stuff, but I basically just try to, like, maybe there's a little tiny bit of an opening, but we're trying to get into the joke. It's like I'm just trying to show these people the jokes, because it's like they're going to stand up on their own. Like the materials,
But at the end of the day, you're going to do it the way he wants it, right?
all the way he wants it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're just going like, hey, what about this? Like, but if he is uncomfortable and he's like, I don't like, because as it's like when someone gives you a joke and someone's like, hey, what if you said this is a tag on your joke? And it could be the funniest thing ever. But if you're not comfortable saying it or confident saying it, you're just like, I can't say it. I don't know what to, it is like, I acknowledge how funny it is, but I won't be able to pull it off.
That's right.
It's like that. And so you have to realize that when they're up there doing these jokes, you got to go like, all right, yeah, don't do that then. If you don't let's do what you work in their parameters.
That's right. And as a comedian, if a comedian tells you, I don't like this lighting, I don't want to stand here on the stage, I don't want to come up on then we're not doing that, because anything that you're not comfortable with isn't going to be good.
Anything that they're going to be in their head about. And because comics, we don't let things go. So if you're going to be weird about the way you walk on stage, I know you're going to think about that your whole act. Because it's like, we just don't, we really can't let things go, which I think is where your material kind of comes from, is the fact that you can't just move on pretty easy. You just sit there and hound on something.
And what about the edit?
The editing was, they did a lot of it. Like I let them go through it and I would see it. So I was not as hands-on. Editing is, I don't, it's like, I would go through it and like starting it. I really was like, let's make sure we're getting to the joke as quick as we can. I try to use the real songs as the opening too. And we're able to do that. But it's the editing. I let them go through a lot of it. I rely on the people that obviously this is the first time I've done it. So I don't want to mess anything up. I've always, even for my specials, editing's like, it's brutal. That's such an impressive job, because it's mind numbing to have to watch. I can't even do it for my own special. It's for my own specials. You just end up, you're like, I hate all of this. It's so hard. And I've done on mine where I've let a couple of my comic buddies that have been out with me and know all my material, I would let them watch it and then be like, give me some notes, like just so you can have some kind of outlet. There's a big trust there, because it's, you gotta really trust that they know what they're going to do. So it's like, I let, but Mike and them were great. Mike, Greg, and Joe, all of them were super great about it. And they went through it and they were all very comfortable with everything that they did. And then I would, you kind of keep an eye on it and make sure. And I did it with 800-Pound Gorilla, which they're so great and they know what they're doing. And so they're trusted. So I made sure we were put around a good group. So it's not as.
And what do you think so you've done maybe 4 or 5 projects now already, right? As a director?
Yeah, I think 4. Yeah.
And what's the biggest thing you've learned?
It's make sure you're capturing that person. I mean, it's also new. Like I don't know what I'm doing in a sense, but I mean, I'm learning more about the cameras and the angles and the, like, all right, like Joe's special was, I really didn't move the camera down a lot, but there was like a cool image on the wall and we had a camera, you have a floating camera, and I talked a lot more in Joe's special to that camera guy. The first one, Mike's, I was kind of quiet. Like, I don't want to mess things up. I don't know really what to say. I know that I'm, me directing is just kind of putting my name on it, but I'm with people that know what they're doing. So, I think I talked more in Joe's with the camera guys and being able to make sure we capture, like, hey, capture this kind of side view, and I don't want to break away too much from them. That was a you and Burr thing, where it was y'all special is very much focused on. I mean, I do my specials like that because of y'all, because it was very much like just keep it on me. Like it wasn't Comedy Central.
I have to tell you, we never shot the audience ever.
And I do stuff like that. We've had to shoot, some of them we've shot the audience because people go to it, and with Mike's we did show the audience some, but it was like you still, even if you did try to show him in the audience, like he's still always there. Try not to break away too much. It depends on how much we have to cut, how much we have to break away, or whatever it is. But I shoot my specials like y'all because of that, because I've heard Bird talk about you and him, and you just want it to be watching a show.
Well, it's funny because when we started talking about it, we both, because like my HBO special and just early things that I would do, or friends of mine, you would always cut to someone in the audience go, and you just, immediately you're not part of it anymore. You're out of it. And in London at Albert Hall, we had this guy in a thing behind the curtain, and it just, we used this overshot of Bill to do that. And listen, sometimes you need that cutaway, but sometimes you can't get a camera behind it. We were able to hide it at Red Rocks, but again, I've shot, I guess 4 or 5 too, and I can tell you the only thing I've learned is just to get out of the comedian's way, and the more cameras you can have, the better.
Yeah. Well, I learned, and honestly, as I'm realizing as I talk to you, it's like, but I noticed that shot at Albert Hall, and I noticed it in the fact that I was like, he's still not out of this frame. And it's a very cool shot because you do want to show where he's at, because it's a very unique place. And you did it in a way, and it's what I noticed. Burr's not where you're still not going to the crowd. You're still showing him. And so everybody's still there. And then everybody's seeing a kind of a grand image. No one really exactly, you can't really tell, but it's people, and it's showing that it's a good time. And that was something I directly noticed with that one, because I was like that, and I thought of like, it made me think, it was like, oh yeah, it's like, just have it be really on you. That I like, my last special was in the round, and Mike Lavin directed it. And but I liked that one. I wanted to show the crowd, because it was like after COVID, it's like I wanted to show people have fun. And this was a way to show me and the crowd, because it's in the round the whole time.
Did you shoot Bridgestone?
We did not. I mean, I got footage. We shot it like for me, but and I have it. We recorded it, and I have it shot. But it's, I don't know if I'll have a lot of images, and I have a lot of that stuff from Bridgestone. We're trying to work on something to maybe put out with that kind of stuff on it, and some of the shows that we're doing. So there's a plan for that stuff to be put out at some point. But yeah, I mean, I love the round. I mean, I'm thinking about my next special. I almost think I want to do it in the round. I just kind of, I kind of like it.
Hey, did you ever get those pictures I sent from you with that? I remember I bought this new lens, and I was playing with it at the Ryman one night, and I just snuck behind you on stage, and just really cool over your shoulder, and I sent them to you. Those are cool pictures. Do you remember those?
Yeah. That's the night after the special, the Vecchione. That's where we talked.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot that. Yeah, but that's that kind of shot.
Yes.
I sent you a bunch of them.
Yeah, it's beautiful, especially at the Ryman. It's beautiful, and it does. It's that stuff is I noticed that stuff, and that stuff plays into how I do a special. Is how you and Burr have done one. Is I do it with that.
Are you gonna make movies? Is that something in your plan?
Yeah, I mean, as we create this kind of Nateland world, is like I think I would like to do some movies and TV shows, and be able to at some point do stuff me not in it. So it's as it starts to unfold, it's there's a vision for that, and it's just got to kind of come when it comes. It's try not to force anything too early. Just trying to let it naturally let everything.
That's the way.
I look at stand up as like stand up is the only reason I even had any opportunity. So it's like just keep working on your own craft and be great at your own craft, because then the other opportunities will come through that. So I'm still just focused on my stand up, but we're definitely starting to start to build kind of some stuff around. That's what these specials are, and doing that showcase, like slowly start building a world.
That's great. That's really fantastic. Well, you're going to be seeing a lot more of me because I'm moving to Nashville. So
Can't wait to have you, dude.
I love Nashville. I was there doing that show for a while, Nashville.
Yeah. Oh,
and, and I just love it. So you'll be seeing me. But anyway, man, I wish you the best, and I loved Greg Warren's special too. He's that guy's really great.
He's a real comic, and it's like it's what I like showcasing some of those guys. These guys that have been doing it for 20 years or over 20 years. They're great, and it's you want people to like envision it, like your Ollie Joe Prater. The people in the room, like they could go murdered. Like they
so wait, you're comparing Aaron to Ollie Joe Prater?
I can't be Aaron. Yeah, I would. Yeah. That's how we're
gonna
do it.
I'm gonna let him know that.
Point where we have to put a blanket over him, and he just
Foxworthy
is the one that I read the story about because Foxworthy opened for Ollie Joe. It was in that book. What's the book? Like Road Stories or
Richie Scheidner's book.
Yeah. I
Well,
can't
my
do that.
I'll tell you a great Ollie story. Okay, real quick.
I would love it.
He was always on the road. He never had an apartment, so he'd come into town and he would just stay at my house for so long, and it was just a drag sometimes. So one time I went out and I bought this new sofa with a buddy of mine, Harris Pete, and I went to pay for it, and the guy goes, "Oh, look at this! It's a pull-out. It's a sleeper." And I went, "Oh no, okay, I don't want it. And I was like 23 years old. Harris goes, "Why don't you want to go?" Because if Ollie knows I have a sleeper, I'll never get rid of him. And Harris goes, "Just don't tell him. Don't tell anyone you got a sleeper. But it's nice to have it in case your family comes or something." I said, "Okay, all right." Ollie comes into town. The next time he comes into town, he comes over, he sits down on my sofa. He goes, "Jesus, is this a sleeper?" The guy's got an ass that's scientifically designed to know what pulls out as a sleeper. It was unbelievable. He just jumped up, knew the minute he touched it.
It's a guy that sit down so much that he's like, "I know what I'm sitting on."
Oh man, you got a sleeper. This is great. Never got rid of him. But anyway,
I mean, when you come down here, I want to just sit and talk, hear some Ollie Joe.
Oh man, he was a great guy. He was a fun guy, and he died young too because of drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
And anyway, there's a real upbeat note to end on. And any of your friends die young?
We've had some, and then comics. Greg draws around Geraldo.
I was teasing, man. I don't want to. Yeah, you liked him, huh? And he's dead. All right, that's good to know.
Go down, man. They're dropping like flies in our business, Mike.
Yeah, they do. I got a friend got hit by a bus last week, Nate.
Ryan Hamilton got hit by a bus, so we did got a real person. He's doing good, though. He's doing good.
All right, buddy. Listen, thanks, man. Good luck with that. And what's the name of the new special? It's Joe, right?
Yeah, Joe Zimmerman. I can't remember. Yeah, we don't have the release date yet. We haven't announced. We're about to announce it, but it'll be coming out probably in September.
And are you going to do all your stuff with 800-pound gorilla?
I just did the showcase. I did not do it with 800 pound, but I did with those 3 specials, and I really, they're really great.
I want to get Greg Warren on my podcast. So if you talk to him,
I'll text y'all together.
All right, cool. You're a good man.
Thank you, brother.
I'm so happy for you.
Thank you, man. So great to see you.
You too. All right. Damn. Love that guy. He's really great. Very genuine. So if you get a chance, check out Greg Warren's special, Mike Vecchione's special, and all the stuff on Nate Land and his podcast. And that's it, man. And, just all get into the world of Nate if you're not into it yet. He's a very special guy. And that's it. That's episode 37. I will be at the Improv tonight with a really great show with Jimmy Shin and Nikki Glazer. Who else? Daryl Hammond's on the show tonight, I think. It's a good show. It really is. Thanks a lot so much. You can find this on standupworld.com or Twitter at Mike Binder Jokes, or of course my Substack. And we really appreciate it. Really, don't we, Patrick?
We really appreciate it. Of course. No, great interview with Nate, and like and subscribe on every platform. That really helps us out. And go see Mike.
That's great. Thank you so much. Have a great week.